It is totally Evel Knievel going off the cliff. And so what I learned is I cannot in good conscience teach people how to be better at money without helping them regulate their internal emotional set points, because they will make this balance of like, oh, I'm making more money. My personal life now just has to suck to make sure that I don't get too happy, because that's not okay.
Hey, it's Nick Armstrong, and you are listening to the Founded in FoCo podcast. And every episode, we get to dive in deep with an entrepreneur in our community who is doing cool and interesting things. And today, our cool and interesting entrepreneur is LeAndra Foster. LeAndra, tell us about your business.
It does feel like the buzzer is coming. My business. So I work with women who run their own coaching and alternative wellness businesses, and I help them keep more of the money that they make so that they can be profitable and make money in a way that feels good to them.
That's a lot. So unpack that for us a little bit. It's just a magic thing, right? Tell us about some of the processes that go into that. How do you make people more comfortable with making money?
Yes. Yeah. Well, if you want to really just like give it a big umbrella overview, I basically help people feel more comfortable with money emotionally and then also analytically. So I started my career, it's all analytical. I was a pension actuary, so I'm a geek when it comes to retirement, all about the finances, investing. But that wasn't so exciting because you're just learning how to make corporations more profitable. But then you're talking to your friend who's like, hey, I don't know anything about money. I never learned about money. And so that was the piece that just really got me more excited, was like, I was actually really fortunate in that my parents taught me about money. They were good with money. And I thought everybody's parents were until I found out that that was not the case in my early 20s. And so I just want to give people the financial education that they never got. Now, that being said, what I found is that if I just give everybody amazing financial steps and strategies to take, things blow up. Like, it works. Like, they get exactly what they want, but we have these crazy internal set points that will make us just implode our personal lives. Like, my clients were doubling their revenue. They were 10xing their paychecks. They were cutting their work time in half. And then their personal lives just crumbled. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
Yeah, that's
it's a real thing.
It's sometimes it's the Evel Knievel going off the cliff, though, right?
It is totally Evel Knievel going off the cliff. And so what I learned is I cannot in good conscience teach people how to be better at money without helping them regulate their internal emotional set points, because they will make this balance of like, oh, I'm making more money. My personal life now just has to suck to make sure that I don't get too happy, because that's not okay.
Well, if more is good, just imagine how much more will be, right?
Yeah.
So what does that look like in practice, right? So I would imagine that this happens when you hit a certain threshold, like a six-figure income on your business, or when you hit that, whatever that magic number is of like, this is enough, and you've gone beyond that at a certain point now. Is that when that emotional deregulation occurs?
So wouldn't we love to like prescribe for everybody that it happens at six figures? No. Do you actually want to know where it happens?
Where's that?
At whoever your main breadwinner was, your mom or your dad, right? So like if you lived in a single family home, your mom. In my case, it was my dad. But whoever the main breadwinner was when you were growing up, that threshold is how much they were making when you were growing up. Which my dad was a high school English teacher in a low income area. And it doesn't increase with inflation. So I've talked to women in their 60s, and they're like, my dad hasn't worked in 40 years. And yeah, that's how much I'm making. And no, it hasn't gone up with inflation. So it's not even six figures sometimes. It can be like $30,000 that triggers the, like, especially again, like a single mom, it can be extremely low when it triggers the moment.
So is that like oh, I've made it, or it's like, I really don't know what to do with myself once I hit this point?
It's not, I don't think it's even conscious. Like now I'm bringing it to the consciousness, but I don't think that when you hit it, I don't think it's even conscious. Like sometimes it's crazy enough of like, my truck broke down on the side of the road and I had to get it towed and it cost an extra $2,000 to get it fixed, or, you know, things that it's like, that just seems a little too suspicious, but there's no way you could have actually controlled it. Or like I said, like it could be a marriage crumbling. It could be an existential crisis. It could actually be up leveling to where you emptied out all your savings accounts again and you're back to ground zero. It shows up in so many different ways.
So financial self-destruction.
Yeah.
And you help folks navigate around that by
Absolutely.
building healthier boundaries with money.
I don't think I'm technically allowed to use the word healing, but it's like really going back and revisiting where these money beliefs got like wired in, and then making them better. Because I'm not saying the word healing because we're not allowed to use that word, but you know, making those feel better so that when we teach you, like, here's how you make your business profitable, and you have a profitable business, which goes against what you learned as a child about money, you can be like, whew, it's okay. It's okay. This is what I wanted. I'm getting what I wanted. So again, it is both and, like, it's definitely that relationship piece, but we're implementing better money practices at the same time.
That's a tall ask for so many solopreneurs, especially freelancers. What's a good first step to get folks eased into this mindset of I need to have better boundaries with money?
Yes. Well, it's funny that you say what's your next step? What's your first step? So thank you for that lovely lead in. I caught it. So what's your next step is the start of Solopreneur Day at Founded in FoCo. And the idea here, and this actually applies to businesses that are starting, and it applies to businesses that are multi-million dollars. But when we have a business, there's so many things to focus on that it's like, where do I even start? And what I found for myself is that I was trying to solve the problem that I might have like way down the road before I solved today's problem. And so it really tells you what you need to focus on today to move your business forward. And that in and of itself can start triggering all this stuff of like, oh, well, if I do that thing that's actually going to move my business forward, then, and all those fears come up, because the truth is, our businesses are really important to us, and they're our babies, and we're putting our babies out there into the world to like risk that somebody says, that's the ugliest baby I've ever seen. Who would want that? And that's scary, right? Like that's so scary. So it is definitely identifying what you actually need to be focusing on right now. And I love this as part of a summit, because summits are so cool and there's so many different topics and the speakers are so great and you love going to all of them. And it can be totally overwhelming when you're like marketing, sales, profitability, scaling, all of the different things. And if you can focus and say, okay, I do really want to go to that one, but I realize I'm not there yet. I'm just going to focus on these because this is where I actually need to be focusing right now. It brings down the overwhelm of like, I should be doing so many different things right now. Where do I start?
Founded in FoCo and formerly Fort Collins Startup Week was notorious for melting people's brains in that exact way. So giving them an actionable toolkit to walk in and walk out with is a really powerful thing, not just as a presenter, but as a track liaison. I really thank you for doing that. Tell us about some of the panels that are going to come down the pipeline for solopreneurs, freelancers, and what folks can expect to get out of it, even if they're not a freelancer or a solopreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. So with what's your next step, the base level to have a business is that you have to make money. And making money starts at many different places, like how much do you need to make? And then how do you tell people about what you're doing? So to that point, like there are so many ways to tell people about what you're doing, and you have to find what works for you. So we've got public speaking, we've got how to use LinkedIn. I think there's some more. You put me on the spot. Did the buzzer go off? Those are the ones I could think of, but there's several, like how to grow your businesses using different avenues, right? Because some people are like, no way am I going to get up on stage and talk. And I love Candace Edelin's LinkedIn training. And I'm like, oh, there's no way I could sit in my basement, like doing LinkedIn research to reach out to people all day long, right? So finding your special way of growing your business, sales, profitability. There's hiring your first VA. Like we have so many different topics that what's your next step will help you identify exactly which one you need to go to. And then you can look at the schedule that we so cleverly designed to address what your next step is. And you can look and be like, oh, I need to go to this one, not this one, this one, not this one.
There's a lot of purpose and intentionality behind the panels that were selected this year. We couldn't put everybody onto the schedule. And in fact, that was sort of how you came into Fort Collins, is this, you showed up at Startup Week and gave a talk. Talk to us about how your business came to be and that evolution from, I have it, now I'm speaking at Startup Week. And now I'm running a track at Founded in FoCo, and lining up fellow entrepreneurs to teach my community how to do what I did.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I love public speaking, and I think my business actually kind of grew out of Startup Week, now Founded in FoCo, because I gave away my secret sauce there before understanding, like, you're supposed to give people a taste, right? But I did that, and I did like the personal finance piece and kind of got the kinks worked out there. And then I didn't actually apply the next year because I was like, now what do I talk about? And Aziza Syed, who used to be on the committee, said, well, could you talk about like startup budgets? And I thought, sure, I can do that. How hard could that be? And then kind of went, oh, I know about personal finance and I know about corporate finance. I don't know anything about in between, and realize that there is some out there, but not a ton, right? Like you go get your finance degree, you learn about corporate finance. And so that became, again, I tried it out at Founded in FoCo, and then it became part of my secret sauce of what's offered in my program. And so just playing with that of like, do people want to learn about this? Is it something that they're interested in? Is it useful? Did you teach it in a way that they can understand it? It's a great low stakes way to try out something new.
Yeah. And to be fair, we talk a lot in the freelancing world of like fake it till you make it, right? But that, you're given your background as a financial actuary, is more like a reactivation of a nascent skill that was sitting in the background, that now you can bring it back to the forefront and combine it with something that you're really good at, which is teaching, and put those two things together, and suddenly you have a brand new offer.
Yeah. Exactly.
What a cool journey. I can't get over that, because now, and you're also the MC of 1 Million Cups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell us about that community evolution as well, because it's been a couple of years since, Jana Sanchez had organized and run some of that as well. And now it's in a new phase. And I've seen y'all pop up between so many different organizational partners that it's funny just to find out where the event is each month, each week.
That is true. So yes, so 1 Million Cups is an entrepreneurial community. It is not a networking group, right? Like it's the same people who come week in and week out. And what I love about it is it's an opportunity for you to get peer-to-peer feedback. And I love our Fort Collins 1 Million Cups community because they give feedback in such a kind and useful way. And giving feedback is such a skill that it can be really damaging when it's done poorly. And I think that our group does an amazing job of balancing, like, here's what you did well, and here's what you could improve on. And so I'm kind of jumped the gun. It's 2 6-minute presentations each week. So we have a different entrepreneur who presents their whatever they're working on in 6 minutes, and then they get 15 minutes of feedback. It could be, I'm thinking about starting this new business. It could be, hey, I need to put a video on my website. How does this land for you? It could be, hey, we're going for funding and we're going for a multi-million-dollar seed round, and we just need to practice our pitch that we're going to go in front of these big investors. Like, that's terrifying. And so you need to hear very gently, like, here's what landed well, and here's what you need to tighten up. And that's exactly what the community does. So I love it. Each week you get to hear about a different company and what they're doing. And I love the ability to connect people, like, oh, you should go talk to this person or this person. So yeah, it's a really fun community.
It's one of those communities where folks are so consistently valuable to each other and valued in just their presence and being in the room, that it has a natural longevity to it. And so the intentionality that you've put into moving from place to place, and CSU, and credit union, I mean, you name it, you all have been around in the community, and really doing that ground level community building work. So it's inspiring to see, and it's great to see yet another business community propping up and doing the work that needs to be done, and doing it in a way that's heart-centric and keeping entrepreneurs in our community positive and encouraged, especially through things like COVID.
If I can put in a little plug for it, we meet on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. So it's a nationwide entrepreneur community. So it's supposed to always be at 9 a.m. on Wednesday mornings in the local time zone. The great thing about COVID is that a lot of the different chapters still are hybrid. And so you can present in different cities without actually having to drive or fly to the different city, which before COVID, if somebody wanted to present here, they showed up in person. So it gives you a great opportunity to have that exposure to different groups and, see how they do it. Everybody does it a little bit differently. And there's, just a little bit different culture based on who the leader is for each group. So, if you think I'm totally fun, I set the tone for the morning.
It's an easy way to vet a test market, right? Because those are your key players in any market, entrepreneurs who might buy from you, your upstream, downstream folks. So what else do we need to know about in the entrepreneurship community that you can tell us about?
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of laughing because I don't think I realized like how firmly entrenched I was in the entrepreneur community until you just now laid it out there. But the other group that I'm really enjoying is Women of Wellington. It's not that far north of Fort Collins, but man, what an impressive group of ladies. Like, it is sort of the who's who of who's running Wellington. When I was there, it was like, whoa, like the town treasurer, the zoning committee person, the school district, school board member, like the who's who. And it's just such a fun group. They do that on the side. A lot of those women run their own businesses as well. So that's one of the other places that I'm plugged into that I really enjoy.
So where can we find out more about you and your business?
Yes, you can follow me on Facebook. I end up just using my personal one more than anything because I kind of just tie in personal stories into my branding, I guess you could say. So just check me out at LeAndra Foster. I'm LeAndra Autumn Foster. That's OTTEM. Because there are a few more of me out there that are me, but same name. And then you can check out my website.
You just said it like they were like Chat GPT clones of you or something.
Because when I teased my husband about this, not as much as I used to, but I used to be LeAndra Autumn, and I was the only LeAndra Autumn, because there's actually a website where you can see how many people have your name. I was the only one. And now I'm like one of 4 or 5 LeAndra Fosters. And so I'm not the only one. You actually have to like pick the right one. So yes. And then you can also find me at lyandrafoster.com for my website.
LeAndra, thank you so much for joining me today and for all the work that you're putting into Founded in FoCo, especially in the solopreneur track, and for being on the core team. I appreciate all of your efforts.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for getting to be on the inside. It's so cool to watch it all come together and see how it happens, how the magic happens.
And that's the thing that sticks with me is year after year, we have such an amazing team to put all of these things together. And for more great entrepreneurial advice from your fellow entrepreneurs in the community, visit foundedinfoco.com or come see us live March 1st through 3rd at Front Range Community College. We can't wait to see you there. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Nick Armstrong, and this is a Founded in FoCo podcast. For more great interviews like this one, join us at foundedinfoco.com.